we are live with the Understand Photography Show, where we talk about travel and nature photography. Welcome to episode 23 from Orlando, Florida. Now, you guys have heard me promote my Mount Dora ladies trip. Well, we just finished it, and I didn't have time to go back to Naples to do the show, which worked out great because I'm with my friend Susan Germyn-Francis, who's an amazing photographer, and we're going to talk today about scanography. But first, I've got a short commercial. You know, we have a trip, a photo workshop to St. Augustine, May 4th through the 7th. Joe Fitzpatrick leads that workshop, and it's got a heavy emphasis on birds, but there's also a big variety of things. You're going to go for the architecture and see the oldest city in the nation. It's really, really fun. So that's May 4th through the 7th. The information is on our website at understandphotography.com. And we have one more week left. We're still trying to get on New and Noteworthy with iTunes for our podcast. So this is going to be turned into a podcast. So we're begging if you would go to iTunes and do a search in the podcast section under the Understand Photography Show, and then write us a review, a nice review. Rate us 5 stars, please, and listen, subscribe. So, all right, today, Susan Germyn-Francis, thank you for hosting me in your beautiful home.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Well, Susan has been a professional photographer
For a long time.
for pretty much her whole life, right? You
Just
have
about.
You have a degree in visual,
Visual communications, that's right.
and you
Yes.
did your first wedding at age
16.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. And that was in film days, so.
Oh my God.
So you definitely want to be confident that you got the shot.
And you felt good when were you
I
confident at 16?
I did, yes.
You knew what you were doing.
Apparently I did. I can still find the images, the negatives for sure.
Are they still
Yeah.
Are they still married?
Yes, they are.
Ah!
My cousins, yeah.
Oh, that's
Definitely.
awesome. All right, well, Susan and her husband, John, own the Harmon's School of Photography and Catchlight Studios here in Orlando, Florida. And that's kind of sort of how I met them. Actually, I don't remember how I met you.
Through Reg Garner.
And that was I met him at the,
At Orlando Camera Club?
I think I met him at the convention.
Okay, at one of the photography conventions
Yeah.
somewhere, maybe Photoshop World or something. I don't know.
Anyway, we've
Yeah.
known each other a while now. John and Susan have come down to Understand Photography in Naples and
Yeah.
taught some classes. They're amazing photographers and amazing
Thank you.
instructors.
Thank you very much.
So, in addition to portraits and weddings and teaching, Susan enjoys fine art photography. She's won numerous awards for her fine art photography. So today we're going to talk about something called scanography, which I never even heard of until Susan told me about it.
Yes.
So,
All right.
tell us, okay, so
So
how did you get into this whole, you obviously were interested in photography forever.
definitely. I guess I'm a very visual person. So, but my father was a photographer when I was young.
Oh.
My dad was in the Army, and he took up photography as a hobby, and I was his willing model. So I remember from an early age, posing for him and having my picture taken. So that's, I guess what piqued my interest.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Back in, he would shoot, large format images and. Yeah.
What did he shoot? Did he do nature or people?
No,
or?
mostly people and travel and nature stuff. Yeah.
That's
And I
cool.
still have some of his images and negatives too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is. And he was in the military. Got beautiful images of Vietnam. What a beautiful country it is. So.
Wow,
Yeah.
I've wanted to go there forever because I've
Yes.
seen a lot of people tour there. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who watch this show do too. So,
Definitely.
all right. So then, were you solely making a living as a photographer for many, many years?
Well, so I have worn many hats. I did, I did study film, television, and photography, and
Okay.
the photography end was my love. But I also, I worked for a number of years as a flight attendant, and so I was able to travel and do photography too.
Oh my God.
That
See,
was a
I'm
long
learning all
time
this
ago.
about
Oh
you.
yeah. And then I got married and had kids, and so that kind of puts things on the back burner. But I've always had my hands on camera and
Finger on the shutter.
Yes, my finger on the shutter. That's right.
Yeah. So funny.
So,
and then how did you get into teaching? I'm just curious about that.
So teaching. So what happened was in 2002, I moved to Orlando. I was living in San Diego, where I was doing. I had a partner there, a wonderful photographer named Kim, and we would shoot weddings and portraits together.
Okay.
Then I moved here to Florida, and I used to mail. This is still film days, and I would mail my negatives to my film to be processed, and my negatives would be printed to California. And that was a worry because if they would get lost or something. But I knew we had a wonderful man. He passed away since then, but he was a wonderful printer and did all my printing. And I started to really worry about that, about just mailing things like that. So I decided I needed to find a local lab, and that's how I met Harmon Photo. And David Harmon, who owns Harmon Photo.
Okay.
They're a professional lab, and so I met him and did some work with him, just printing through him, and then made my transition to digital photography. And then a couple years go by, and David had started offering classes through, it was more just camera, like how, camera specific classes.
Oh, like if they bought a camera.
Yeah, because it's a camera store as well, and if they bought a camera, some of the staff would teach a little small class.
Okay.
And then he approached me to, take over and run the school. So I did that for a year, and then he offered for us to take ownership of it, and in 2007, so it'll be 10 years now, that we took the school over. So I've got John as my wonderful support, and he teaches, I'd say I teach about 3/4 of the classes, or maybe half of the classes. John would teach a quarter, and then I have other instructors. I often have guest instructors, just like we did with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I've been doing that.
So cool.
Yeah.
But you never gave up the photography either.
No. So we keep, I think it's being studio photographers or just being working photographers. It's a great benefit for our students because I can show them or teach them what I've learned from real experience, real world experience. So. Even though I always feel like I'm juggling, wearing two hats all the time, I really don't want to give up either because they both complement each other. So
I agree with that.
And then on the other hand, the creative end, the fine art stuff is what I do for my personal growth when I have a spare moment.
I was going to say exactly
Which
what
is
you
very
said.
often. So that's that keeps me in the just to expand and grow. With the creative stuff, and it's my vision. I don't really have to please a customer.
Yeah, that's
it's
that's
my
kind
work.
of nice too.
Yeah.
So let me just before we talk about that,
Mm-hmm.
what do you schedule time to do things, or do you?
No, I mean I just whenever I have a day, because not only so our classes are run in the evenings.
Okay.
And then sometimes we have workshops on the weekend or. We don't really have daytime classes, but they're mostly in the evenings. But then I do one-on-one consulting during the day, so I can work with a student during the day.
Right.
Or I'll go to a business and teach them how to do photography for their product or whatever. So I do that during the day. So when I do have that rare time off, if I don't have something else to do, in between when we do shooting, doing portraits or whatever, I will try and get in doing some personal stuff.
For yourself.
Yeah. What helps is when I have to teach something. So on Monday, I have been preparing, I'm doing a lecture on scanography for the Orlando Camera Club. And so that's prompted me to really get busy, because I don't like to show just old stuff. I want to show new work.
Yeah.
So that's what's got me motivated to keep working.
That's funny, because that's for me too. Whenever I have to do a presentation,
when there's a deadline.
Like, I don't like these pictures. I gotta go out. Yeah,
exactly.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
All right. So what is scanography?
Okay, so scanography is essentially taking a photograph with your scanner. So your scanner is a giant digital camera, really.
I guess
and so what we're talking about is your flatbed scanner. Most people have one. There are printers that have one attached.
Yeah, most of the printers come with them nowadays.
Yeah, but your traditional flatbed scanner that you might even have in your office can be used like a camera.
Okay.
And so it is amazing. It is actually a large format camera. The resolution is incredible.
That's
And because, you know, with a digital camera, you've got your resolution is connected to the size of your sensor. And so if you have a crop sensor, it's fairly small. I mean, even full frame isn't that big either. But with your, you know, scanner, you're looking at, I don't remember the exact measurements, but it's quite large.
Yeah.
You know, it can be as large, that large. So you're almost like an 8x10 camera.
wow.
So it's really amazing. And the cool thing about a scanner is it has some light. So the light, of course, is attached to the scan head. So you don't need any additional lighting. And the drop off and the shallow depth of field is what makes the image so beautiful. So the resolution can be whatever you set it at through the software that your scanner comes with. And it just looks awesome.
So step me through it. Okay. So
how do you do it?
yeah, because you tend to do a lot of flowers, right?
Yeah. So so essentially, you have a couple options, as you probably know, with a regular scanner that you're going to scan a document. You're going to lay your document in the scanner and close the top down.
Right.
And on the top there is reflective material, so that when you scan something, it's essentially white. You know, your background is white if you're scanning outside the page itself. But that top helps to reflect that light back to actually take essentially a photograph of your document.
Okay.
So, but with scanning or scanography or art scanning, we have a couple choices. You can close the top down on your subject, and so your background will be white. Or you can leave the top open and turn the lights off, and your background will be pitch black.
Wow.
So you can, so it can be awesome because your subject has such a contrast between it. You know, if you have a beautiful colored flower and then this black background, it really pops.
Oh my God.
So the only bad thing about closing it, of course, is you're going to smash your subject.
Right.
And if it's three-dimensional, which is what kind of, you know, what the appeal of the art form of scanography is, we're actually scanning three-dimensional objects, is that we try and avoid smashing them.
Right.
You can take a piece of fabric or a white piece of paper and lay it over your subject without squashing it, but your background won't be pure white, and so we'd have to really kind of work on it in Photoshop to bring it up to white. So that's all you have to do. I mean, you're just going to put your subject down on the scanner. If you want to leave the top open, leave it open. Turn the lights off. Go. You know, most scan software has a preview, so you preview it, and it's important to preview because you want to see how does it look.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about scanning is you have to remember you're working in not necessarily reverse, but backward. Like it's laying. Your subject is laying flat down. So when you lay something down and you look down at it, you're looking at the back of your image.
Right.
So you have to remember that you're kind of working backwards. So you have to, that's why I always preview. And then once I'm happy with the positioning of my subject, then I go ahead and run the scan. And that's all there is to it.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, you know, I'm not finished once the scan occurs. Then I'm going to take it into software and I'm going to do some editing. Scanning is such high definition that it will show even the tiniest little bit of pollen or dust. Or I have two very fluffy white animals. One of them happens not to be here, my big fluffy Samoyed, but all those little things you can get on the surface of the scanner, even if you wipe it down, it can show up in your shot.
Oh.
So I'll go in Photoshop and literally take all that out with a healing brush. And take out the pollen and stuff, because just positioning the flowers and stuff, it's going to draw.
It leaves stuff.
It can leave stuff behind. So
wow.
On the other hand, I've even, I used to be really, really picky about getting every spot out, but I have lately been messing around. We're actually I took a sunflower and it had died, and all the leaves were curled up and the pollen was falling everywhere, and I thought, I'm just going to work with it. I'm just going to, So I just let it all spread everywhere, and then I added texture in Photoshop, and it came out awesome.
Oh my God, that is so cool. Now, how did you get into this? Did you hear about this?
Well, no, it's kind of interesting. When I was still living in California, I came across in like a craft store these leaves that are called Bodhi leaves, and they count Bodhi. It's a tree that's a type of a big fig tree. And the Bodhi leaves are commonly, you'll see them, they have like the flesh of the leaves, so the material that make up the leaves has decayed, and all you see are the veins, so they're called skeleton leaves.
Okay.
And I had them for a number of years, and I kept looking at them, and I think, how can I take a picture? Like, they're kind of see-through. How am I going to get a good shot of this? And something, I don't know why, I don't have any memory of actually hearing about scanography, but I thought, I think I'm just going to lay them on my scanner and scan them. And
because they were flat.
They're flat. I didn't close it. I actually, for something, told me just leave it open, and I left it open, and I got this awesome image of this skeleton-looking leaf on a black background, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. I'm onto something, you know. So that's kind of what propelled me to, you know, to experiment, and then started looking for other photographers. I didn't even know it was called scanography. I just put scan photography or scanner photography and started to come up, you know, that came up. And yeah, it was really interesting. And then coincidentally, I had become involved with the Orlando Camera Club. Both John and I are past presidents.
Okay.
And it's been, goodness, now it's over 10 years old as well. It's probably maybe more like 12 years old. And that club is huge. There's about 400 members.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so anyway, in 2000, let's see, I think it was 2008, there was a big competition with the Smithsonian and Nature's Best magazine.
Okay.
So we entered, there were 9 of us who entered in their annual competition for Camera Club. And we won with 8 other photographers and myself. We won Best Camera Club of the year.
Wow.
And so my photograph of those fig leaves, of the skeleton leaves, was one that I entered in that group of images. Okay. And so all of us were hung in the Smithsonian for 6 months. It was really cool. So my image was there. And
did you go and look at it?
Oh yeah, John and I went up and looked at it, and I got the table of contents page as well, my image with that, and I thought, okay, I must be onto something. I mean, they were aware that my photograph was not taken, you know, traditionally. And that even in the credits it tells how it was captured, so it's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
So I realized, you know, it is an interesting art form, so I just started messing around with different things, different flowers and stuff. And
now, is there a big community of photographers who do this?
Yeah, online there are actually. There's a lot. You can find them on Flickr, on Facebook. There's Facebook groups. If you go to scanography.org, there's a group there. Okay. I actually have a private Facebook page of other scanographers.
That's your group?
There's a group together. I don't know who started it, but several of us across the country just, you know, we just post pictures and try and encourage each other and inspire each other and things like that. So
that is so cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I know you do flowers, and you do live flowers, dead flowers.
So good. Flowers, I have, yes, so I happen to love flowers, but live flowers I found are the best. Okay. Also, flowers that look good either sideways, because remember, I have to lay it down, right? So looking at the flower sideways is best. So if you're going to take a rose, you're either going to look at the side of the rose, or you could open it up and push it down, lay it so you can see the head flat.
But you don't have to flatten it if you're not going to.
No, but remember the photograph is coming sideways, right?
Oh, right.
So it just kind of depends on the look you're trying to get. So honestly, just experimenting with all different flowers is great. I also love dead flowers. As they die, they really saturate their color often, and it can really make a difference with how they, how they look or how they come out with the different colors. Sometimes they just completely transform when they're dead. So
I thought
so
dead
just
flowers lost their color.
No, some of them actually, tulips really get more saturated.
Really?
Love
tulips.
I know, I love them too.
Didn't you say
I know.
one of
Yeah, so
award on a tulip
yes,
picture?
that's right. So I you know, after the Smithsonian competition, that was so cool. I thought, okay, I'm going to get brave and start entering some other ones. So in 2009, I was experimenting with tulips, and as I was working, one of the tulips started to die, and so the petals started to fall off.
Okay.
So I thought, wow, that looks really cool. And what's neat is, you know, it's a shot of the tulip and the petals are falling. When you hold the picture up, when I print it, it looks like I've caught the petals falling to the ground, but essentially it was laying flat.
Okay.
Anyway, I entered that in San Diego. There's a large, every year they have a big exhibition, photography exhibition that they have in conjunction with the big San Diego Fair. And so I entered that in their nature category for plants, and I won first place.
Oh my God! San Diego's a big city.
Oh yeah, and they get about 4,000 entries every year. So I won first place with that one. And again, I made sure they knew it wasn't taken with the camera, that again, it was a scan. And then in 2014, I was preparing for another talk, and I thought, I need new pictures. This is crazy. I got to get more scans. So it was right after Valentine's Day. John had bought me some roses, and because I like dead flowers, I just kind of, after they died, I left them in the water. And when you leave them in the water, even though they're dead, so their heads all drop down, they're still somewhat flexible. Because if you pull them out and let them dry, when you try and manipulate, they'll break apart or just open them up. So anyway, I took a flower out. It was a beautiful red rose, and I laid it on the scanner, and it just looked crunchy and dead. And I thought, yeah, this isn't doing it for me. You know, I'll take a few, and it just wasn't working. So I opened up the flower, and I thought, wow, inside it's really still succulent and soft. It looked like velvet. And I scanned it, and it came out awesome. I entered it again in the competition in San Diego, and I won first place again.
Oh my God!
So 2 images from my scans, 5 years apart, won first place. So I think I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. Right? So yeah.
Well, now that image of the rose, we're going to have that in the show notes on understandphotography.com.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so what else? What else is there besides flowers?
Okay.
Live and dead flowers?
Yes. I have scanned fish. Now,
fish.
I'm not a fisherman, but I was in Costco one day, and John he can vouch for this. I was looking over at the fish, you know, where they have in the refrigerated section, there was some beautiful red snapper in the package.
And they are beautiful.
They are beautiful. I mean, this is a whole fish, head and tail.
Right.
They're not real big, but they were pretty good size. And there was a package of 3 of them, and I thought, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I think I'm going to get them." And he said, "But do you know how to clean a fish?" And I have no idea how to clean a fish, but I thought, no, heck no, I'm not cleaning them. I'm going to scan them. And so I scanned them. They came out awesome. Sometimes the scanner, now there are 2 types of scanners on the market. There's the traditional ones that most people know. They're
like the kind that's on your printer?
The kind that's on your printer, or the kind that you have in your office. Those scanners can run in price from $100, maybe even $50, up to a couple hundred.
Okay.
Maybe 500 max. Then there's large format scanners.
Okay.
And that's more unusual, and they're going to be in the $1,000 and up range.
And
So no, I don't have one of those because they're huge.
Okay.
And I would like that because I could have more room to work. So, but with a traditional scanner, it's not that big. So sometimes, if I'm going to scan something that's too long, I'll actually scan it in 2 parts, and then in Photoshop, stitch them together, and you can't tell. So with my fish, I kind of had to do that. I had to scan the back half and then the front half, and then I put them together. But I learned something about the fish. I didn't know this. Everybody's like, "Ew, you put a wet fish on."
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
But they weren't really. And honestly, I just cleaned it off with Windex, and when we were done. But the thing about fish, I didn't know this, and I suppose if you went to a real fish store, it might be different. But if you go to a grocery store, they take off the dorsal fin they cut it off, and I'm not quite sure why.
Okay.
So my fish don't have their dorsal fin, and I didn't realize, I didn't know I was
It's like,
missing
what happened
it.
to the fin?
Well, when I went to really research it and identify the fish to make sure, you know, when I said what it was, that it was the red snapper, I realized it was missing its back fin.
Oh
so.
no.
But I have scanned dragonflies.
Oh yeah.
I
that'd
try
be
not
cool.
to kill anything. I don't even like to kill flowers per se, but cut flowers eventually die. But so I have, I found one day a beautiful dragonfly that had died, and so I scanned it, and that was really interesting because they're kind of like the skeleton.
I was thinking they're like the loose leaves.
But and their wings are very reflective, and when I scanned it, it was really interesting. I got all these bursts of color coming off their wings.
Oh wow! Did
so
you do the black background? With
I
that?
did the black background because I didn't want to crush it because it's pretty thick.
Yeah, it's got a body.
And then in the end, I decided to actually cut that out because also with scanning, if anybody, I don't know how many people are familiar with putting textures on images. When you do that, it's better if your back or if your overall image has white. If you put it on black, it gets absorbed. It doesn't show. So I really wanted to add texture to the dragonfly images, so I actually extracted it from the black and then put it on white, and it came out. So essentially, the dragonfly his whole body was black, from like almost like a silhouette black. What else have I scanned? I've scanned. Another thing that's kind of interesting. I had a big container of DVDs.
Okay.
And I just laid them on the scanner because they're very reflective. That came out really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything I've scanned, rocks and
just
sticks
on a regular old printer.
On a regular scanner. You do have to be
yeah.
careful you don't scratch the glass.
Oh yeah.
You also have to be careful it's not too heavy because you can crack the glass.
Oh yeah.
Some people actually take another piece of glass and lay it on top to protect their scanner glass. Some people I've seen they take and they'll do watercolor right on the scanner itself. But they'll put a piece of glass there. You don't really want to get any liquid because it could seep around. It's kind of like going into your lens. You want to be careful of that. So, yeah. So, yeah.
No, you were telling me about something else. I forgot what you called it when you make it into a circle.
Yes. Okay. So again, because I'm doing this lecture on Monday, of course, I didn't want to do the same old scan stuff, and I wanted to come up with something different. And I was doing a little research. Again, I think it was the scanography organization, org.org. Scanography. Sorry, I have it written down because I didn't want to mess it up. So it's scanography.org.
Okay.
Just go to their website. There's a man on there, and his name, and I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget him. His name is Marty Klein. I've never met him, but so what's cool about this website is they feature other scanography artists.
Okay.
And he was doing like kaleidoscope images. So,
oh yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, and so you know what I'm talking about. It's like radial, right? The kaleidoscope is kind of cool. And what he was doing though was he was running an action. Do you know what Photoshop actions are?
I do.
So Photoshop actions are these steps. Like in Photoshop, when you do certain things to your photograph, you can record it as an action and apply that to another photo. So you don't have to do each step by hand.
Every time.
Okay, every time. So he was using a type of kaleidoscope Photoshop action.
Okay.
So it would take a part of his scan and make an image. So I thought that's kind of cool. But I didn't really...
So what does it do? It like mirrors the image?
So it takes a slice of the image and mirrors it and makes it into this sort of multicolor kaleidoscope. So I thought, well, I really am attached to all the parts of my scan. Yeah. I don't want to take a chunk. So what I did was instead I took and mirrored my, like I might have just a photo of a rose, and then I mirrored it 4 times. So I did a mirror horizontally and a mirror of both of those below. Vertically.
Okay. Oh.
And then I took, that was my source image, and then I duplicated that and started laying them on top of each other in a circular fashion. And so they came out like what we would call a mandala. Have you ever heard of the word mandala?
No. Tell me about what, mandala?
Mandala.
Okay.
Or a mandalay. People say them in different ways.
Okay.
It's actually a Sanskrit word, and kind of back to that fig tree. So I don't know if I mentioned, the fig tree is known, in the Buddhist religion as where Buddha sat underneath to meditate, and that's where he achieved enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. So, so back to the Buddhists and other religions, the Hindu as well. They look at mandalas, and it's again a repetitive circular image.
Okay.
And they meditate on it. It also represents the yin and yang, or the universe.
Okay.
And peace and harmony. So that's right up my alley. So I thought, I love that. Well, this guy Marty, he calls them scandalas.
Oh my
because
God.
they're made from scans, and I thought, I love that too.
So funny.
So that's what I've been working on lately, is these circular images made from my original scans. And they're repetitive, they're beautiful, they're very serene. Everybody I show them to, they go, oh my gosh, that's stunning. So
that is so cool.
So we'll have some of those on your show notes too.
Yeah. Now, do you have your personal
Yeah.
stuff on your own website too?
Yeah. So on our website at Catchlight Studios.
It's Catchlight hyphen.
Yes, Catchlight, CATCH. Catchlight as in the eyes. -studios.com.
Okay.
You can have a look at some of my images. If you click on the art tag, we'll have some of them uploaded there.
Okay.
Yeah. So another place to see us is with Harmon School is OrlandoPhotoclasses.com.
OrlandoPhotoclasses.com.
So, and they both link to Catchlight. Both we share the same website.
Oh, I
So,
see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I just keep every day. I'm looking for something else to scan. What can I pick up?
You're in the scanning mode lately.
Yeah,
huh?
that's right. Right.
Do you find
Yeah.
yourself as an artist? Do you get like binges of some type of, like right now
Right.
you're into
Right.
scanography?
Yeah, and yes, exactly. And right now I'm hooked on the scandalas. I just keep wanting to make circles of things. I'll get tired of that after a while and go on to something else.
That's so cool.
People now, and it's interesting because if you start looking at scanography, people do portraits with them. They actually will lay their face on a scanner. You can pull back a little and still get an image. I have seen them modify scanners where they'll hold them up to capture a photograph
Oh, you mean
of
like
someone.
the scanner will be
Yeah,
like upright, so
yeah. So it's not just for
better than the butt scans for the office parties, right?
That's right. Well, that's kind of where, not so much butt scans, but where Xerox machines. Those were sort of the original kind of scanners where people would put their. I remember when my children were little, and I'd take them into an office and scan their hand to keep that,
we
as a
did
record.
that too. I forgot about that.
So not really scan. I guess it's a scan on a Xerox, or just take a picture of it too. So
That's cool. Now because these are such large format cameras, as you said.
Right. The files can be real. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And again with your scanner, most scanners, I happen to have an Epson scanner, so it comes with Epson scanning software.
Okay.
You can control the DPI. It's important to make sure of what kind of DPI you're going to use.
What do you recommend?
I usually recommend 600 DPI, but beware if you're doing this that your computers better be up to date as far as having a good amount of memory. As a matter of fact, I have a brand new computer, and the other day I was making one of the scandalas. So again, the files are big to begin with, and then when you lay a duplicate layer over a duplicate layer over a duplicate layer,
my God.
I had a 2 gigabyte file and
one picture. Oh my God!
And my computer. My Photoshop crashed. It actually got very upset with me. And it crashed, and it scared me. I took a photo of it because John is thank God I have John, because he's my technical person, my techie. And we had, I took a picture of it on my iPhone, and I said, I don't know what's wrong with the computer, but it just grinded to a halt. But anyway, in the end, it was fine. But be cautious of really large files. because it'll really take.
Now, have you ever printed? Do you print them on regular paper or canvas or?
Oh, anything. Yeah, I've got them printed as canvases. They're beautiful as canvas because they look like paintings, of course. But I've done. Actually, in the Smithsonian, it was really big. I think that image was printed at like 32 by 40 or something.
But it could. I mean,
yeah,
if it's that big, it could be huge, right?
Yeah.
Like if you had an 18-foot ceiling,
you
could
suppose.
take a picture of some beautiful string of like what are those Hawaiian flowers that they put down in the
like a lei? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of flowers they are.
Yeah, but anyway, but that would be pretty, wouldn't it? It's like a
definitely.
You'd have to find somebody who would print like that.
It is an awesome. It's a large format, so and what's cool is. Also, if you have a small flower, you don't have to take the whole surface of the scan of your scanner. Your scan software allows you to crop in, so you don't have to take what you don't need.
Okay.
So if I were taking like a little head of the rose, I don't need to get all that extra black all around it.
Okay.
Again, because it just adds to making the file huge, and you don't need that.
Yeah, right.
And it's less to clean in Photoshop because again, there's hair and dust, and even though you clean it off and you're really meticulous, stuff still shows up.
Now, on a typical picture that you've scanned in, how much time do you spend in Photoshop?
Yeah, so I've learned time is money as photographers.
Time is money.
Yeah. So I try and be efficient with that. What I used to do when I have a black background, I'd go in and with the healing brush and heal every little spot. Oh my gosh! And I mean, I'm at like 200 or 300% view of the image. And the resolution, you still could zoom in, and still it's awesome. But it's hard on the eyes. And then I started doing in the past year or so. Instead of doing that, I'll take my brush and take a black, take my palette, make it black, and just paint black. And it goes so much faster.
Yeah.
I also, before I bring it into Photoshop, I work through Lightroom. Love Lightroom. Go in Lightroom, and that's where I'll crop my image. I might maybe pull the vibrance a little, and I'll pull the blacks back so I get really rich black.
Right. My
scanner has been used more than others, and so I do have a halo. I don't know where it's coming from. I feel like it's just kind of getting tired. So I do, in one section of it, I see like a lighter part in the black, and so when I pull the blacks in Lightroom, it takes it away.
Okay.
So I try and go into Photoshop with most of that taken care of, but then I'll paint in black, and so that makes it go faster. And that's pretty much all I do, and then I'll crop it and
Now what about the
Scandala? So with the Scandala, I've got to do that in Photoshop.
Did you make an action for that yourself?
No, because I find they are everyone is individual, and I really want to be in control. It doesn't take once you get how to do it.
It's fast.
I can do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Plus, I have written down because I measure. I try and be very precise. I'll put guides so my image is completely centered, and I measure each angle. So I have it all written how many degrees the angle needs to be for each layer. So I have that down.
Wow.
Because I want it to be, it's supposed to be fairly symmetrical. So that's the idea of it. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So it's cool.
Now, do you sell your artwork?
I do. I have in the past. I have hung in galleries for quite a while. I had my stuff hanging at like a hair salon, and they would sell there. So if anybody's interested, I'm more than happy to sell pieces.
Catchlight-studios.
That's right.
So are there any big mistakes that people make when they start trying scanography?
Well, I guess you do have to be careful if you're trying to get a black background. It needs to be in the dark. So if you can't get in the dark, especially like if your scanner's right next to your monitor, it's not going to get pitch dark.
Yeah.
So fortunately, our scanner, our office where my computer is and John's computer is, I have a little closet, and so my scanner's in there, and I'm able to close the door. But if you don't have that, you can just take a box just a little box and line it with black, or take black foam core and tape it together, and you can just put it right over your scanner. People
That's
do that.
brilliant.
Yeah, and then you get your black. So that's something you want to make sure of. And then again with white, if you want white, it's probably most likely, unless you really do have that top down and you smash the flower, which I sometimes do at the end anyway, just for something different. You will get white, but if you're gonna lay a piece of paper down, or my scanner, actually I can put little spacers to keep the scanner from hitting flat, because a lot of scanners are expecting a book, like the spine, to be pushing the lid, and so they have a little flexibility in how the lid lays.
Oh,
so
I have
sometimes,
seen
yeah.
that.
So
Okay.
sometimes I'll take a couple of lens caps or lens back, back end caps, and lay them in the corners, so I get a little lift, so it's not smashing it completely.
But it still gets the reflection.
Correct, but the problem is it still isn't pure white, it'll come out gray. So if you really want it white, you're gonna have to do that in post editing in software. So other than that, there's not really mistakes. Art, there are no, you've heard that saying, there are no mistakes in art, only happy accidents.
Yeah.
Bob Ross, one of my I'm a big fan of his.
That is so funny.
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, the black box was a good advice.
Definitely.
Are there any other like real tips though that to make it like?
Well, again, I find color, having some good strong color gives you, especially on a black background, really makes it pop and gives you punch to the image. Sometimes I will pull the vibrance. You can do that in Lightroom, or even in the software of my scanner, I can do that. But I like to leave it as it is, and then I'll go in and control it after.
Right.
Because if you do it, it's kind of like if you do it in camera or do it in scan, you don't have the flexibility to go backwards. If you feel like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have made the pink so pink. Right. So if I do it in software, I can back it off if I change my mind.
Right. Well,
So
especially
flexibility.
reds can bleed, right?
Yeah, and what I found with the Scandalas is that they don't work so well if the overall image is very light. I find because we're laying and laying and laying on top of the layers itself. If something is light, it can blow out. So I'm not, I'm learning through experience, and once it's not costing you anything other than memory space.
Yeah.
Just experiment and time, yeah. But again, it's my creative outlet, so I'm happy with that.
Sounds so cool.
Yeah. So you have to try it. I mean, I'm not sure. Actually, what I am going to start working with in the next couple days is I'm going to start scanning some shells.
Oh.
So, because I love shells.
Well, everybody loves shells.
Yeah. So I think those will look kind of interesting.
In fact, in our Mount Dora trip, the
Oh, did you-
souvenirs we all ended up buying were these little shells with
Oh,
the
right.
oil lamps put in
Oh,
them.
cool.
She said
But
she
you
was the
come
only
from
place
Naples.
to. I know, but they were
There's
so
shells-
cute.
There's no shells in Mount Dora.
She probably got them from Naples and
That's
sells them
so
in Mount
funny.
Dora.
That's right. That's funny.
They were so
Yeah.
cute. Now you're
Yeah.
giving this lecture where?
At the Orlando Camera Club on this Monday, on the 13th, Monday evening, they have an art group that meets before the main meeting.
Okay.
So I'm actually doing a how-to. I'm going to show them how to do this. So.
Man, I wish
Yeah.
I could be here on Monday.
Yeah.
So that's at
definitely.
what time?
It starts 5:30.
No, if you're not a member of the Orlando Camera Club, can you come or do you
Yeah.
need to join?
No,
first?
you can come. If you're not a member, you can still come and go to the 1 or 2 meetings and see if you want to join later. So you're more
But
than
you
welcome
probably
to come.
want to join. It's a good
Yeah.
club,
Oh
right?
yeah, it's awesome. There's they have an annual, or excuse me, I think it's a monthly competition, a themed competition. And then they meet twice a month, on the 2nd Monday and the 4th Monday of the month. And they on the 2nd meeting of the month, they have some type of education. In addition to this art group that they have, and I think they have a newbies group. So there's all different things. They do field trips
How
and
much does
stuff
it
like
cost?
that.
Do you know?
Offhand, it's going to be, I don't know, offhand maybe $50 a year or something for
That's
a single
super
membership.
cheap.
It might be a little bit more. I'm not
Okay.
exactly sure. There's Reg, our friend. He started another camera club in Sanford, So
Okay.
there's a Sanford Camera Club up there too.
Ah.
So it's a little smaller group, but they, I apologize, I can't remember what night they meet, but they, if you go to just Google Sanford Camera Club, you'll find them.
But for you, if somebody wants to see you
Yeah,
this
go to
Monday,
the Orlando Camera Club.
OrlandoCameraClub.com?
Yes.
Or org?
.com.
.com.
OrlandoCameraClub.com. And they have their meeting down in Orlando at the Mark Street Senior Center.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I want to
Yeah.
come.
I know.
I gotta go home.
Yeah. So
it's busy season
yes,
down there.
Yes, you got to do it when the people are in town.
That's so
For
cool.
sure.
Now, what kind of classes do you offer at Harmon
So
School?
at Harmon School of Photography, we offer all different classes. We have classes in all aspects of photography. So, and our classes are mainly geared towards those who have DSLRs or mirrorless cameras,
Okay.
or a camera that can shoot in manual controls. But we teach. We have like a foundation class, which teaches exposure. It's a 4-week class.
Oh, my class is
yeah.
4 weeks.
There you go. That's sort of our prerequisite for most of our other classes. But we have studio lighting classes. We have flash classes. We have a cool class called location portraiture, which we did
I
as
love
well.
that class.
Yes.
I'm
So
taking that
location
class.
portraiture is really cool because it's a 3-part class, as you know. Well, I think didn't we condense it with yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. But here in Orlando, it's 3 parts. So the first night is an inspiration class. We show slides and instruction on how to take portraits in any location. And then the second class is a Saturday morning where we go on location and take pictures of models. And then the third night is we come back and we show editing techniques and we critique the students' images.
Okay.
So it's great. It's a great class to teach people how to take pictures in any environment. And so someone who's a wedding photographer or a high school senior photographer or children's
family.
photographer and can do this. And we teach you how to use natural light as well as off-camera flash and things like that.
Well, the thing I remember is just all the cool gear you had
Oh,
that we
yeah.
got to play around
Yeah,
with and
definitely,
because there was a lot of stuff
definitely.
that I had never used.
Yeah. In addition to that, we do we have a cool class called Nifty 50.
Okay.
So for people who use to show you how awesome a 50mm prime lens is, you could use a 35 too. Any prime lens, you can take this class. It's a 2-week class showing you how awesome you can get shots in low light situations. So the Nifty 50 class. We have another one called One Light, One Night. So it's a 1-night portraiture class showing you how you can get awesome shots with one light. Whether it's a constant light or a strobe or an LED or something like that. So that's a fun class. Then we have software classes. John teaches Lightroom. We have like introductory Lightroom and then advanced. And then we have Photoshop classes as well. So we do.
And you also do private lessons, right?
Private lessons on
You do
any
a lot of
aspect.
private lessons during the day, you said, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Any aspect of photography.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's cool.
and then, we also, here and there, we'll do workshops. We often do a wedding workshop, usually once a year. It's almost like throwing a wedding. Although usually we have 3 brides and 3 grooms. So, not real ones, they're models. But we'll go to a large hotel in Orlando and they're in full wedding dress and have flowers and, one time we were up at a beautiful bed and breakfast near Mount Dora in Tavares.
Oh, I can
And
imagine.
and we even had a cake. We had 2 cakes.
Wow.
So we had it was so cool. So we could kind of simulate them cutting the cake, and so it's a great learning experience for people who want to become wedding photographers.
Yeah. Well, you guys, both of you have been.
Yep.
Now, how did
Shooting
you and
weddings.
John meet? 'Cause
At the Orlando Camera Club.
you met there. Oh my God! And it's a good place to meet a spouse.
I am in debt to the Orlando Camera Club, right?
Because you both are wedding photographers. Not
Yes.
as much anymore, you said, or
That not as much. We're phasing that out a little bit. Really more concentrating on commercial stuff. I do a lot of product photography
okay.
with our studio, and then we like to do like commercial headshots or annual report images or photographs for musicians. Album covers.
Those are fun.
Not album, CD covers. But see, back in the film days, we shot album covers,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you know, my son's a musician.
Okay, yeah.
And
yeah.
I finally got to do one of his covers.
Good for
because
you.
I wasn't cool enough.
No.
But
no,
the most recent album has a picture that I took.
That's fantastic.
I was finally cool enough.
Yeah. I like photographing musicians. They're usually
they're
flexible.
So fun. They're creative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My son was also on the cover of somebody else's album.
Oh, there you go. Did
which
you
was
take
weird.
that shot?
I photographed him. I photographed him for that with 2 big bloodhound dogs.
Oh my goodness! How cool!
He came up with the name. It's a friend of his. And the name of the band is Pet Symmetry.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
he had two
big dogs.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
really fun. They are fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So you just still do that kind of stuff. That's cool.
Yeah. So
and you do like marketing, like for brochures and that kind of stuff. You go into somebody's
we'll
office,
just photograph whatever they need.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for their website.
Now you also are a giving back photographer because you just came back today.
Today, yes, we were working with a group called Flashes of Hope. If you're interested, if you're a professional photographer, you can go to the Flashes of Hope website and you can volunteer your time. John and I were at Florida Hospital South in Orlando photographing children that have any kind of life-threatening illness. What's really cool about Flashes of Hope, there's no cost to the families. They bring in hair and makeup artists, and like if a mom wants to have her hair done, and then after all that's done, we take pictures of the child who's ill, and then their family as a group shot, and then those images are given to them about 4 to 6 weeks later. They're all done in black and white, and they get a whole collection of photographs that they can have for no cost, and we volunteer our time, and then the Flashes of Hope takes care of the printing and stuff. And sends all the images. So it's sometimes what's really interesting, John and I have been doing this for a number of years, because John actually, his full-time job is with Florida Hospital. He works for the hospital full-time.
Oh, okay.
And part-time, in any of his spare time, he teaches for us.
Oh my goodness.
I know, and then does the shooting as well, depending on what we're doing. So, but anyway, so we've been doing this with Florida Hospital for a number of years, and we've seen the children grow, and some of them, are still ill, but have grown up, and it's really awesome to see. Now, some children don't, and some do unfortunately pass away, and some of those images are such, meaning for the families because they might be the last images they have. So.
That's awesome that you do that. And you've been doing that for a long time.
We have been doing it for quite a while. And then another thing that I have done for a long time was worked with hospices. And I volunteer with the Hospice of the Comforter, which is a local hospice, which happens to have just been bought by Florida Hospital. But I work in an area called Life Reflections. And so what we do in the Life Reflections group, we have all volunteers. We'll go to a home of a hospice patient and videotape them reflecting on their life. And then we edit it. Well, we can edit it with still images of photographs that they give us and play their favorite music. And we have maybe a 20-minute video of them talking about their life. And then we mix in the still photos. And they get this DVD. Their family gets a DVD for no cost again that they have to treasure of their family members.
What did you call it?
It's called Life. It's called Life Reflections.
And that's another national organization.
No, it's just actually it's funny because I knew I used to do it in California with the hospice there, and then when I moved here to Florida, someone started doing it at the Florida one.
Okay.
And a lot of the hospices have that, so it's a really, really nice memento for the family too.
That is awesome.
Yeah, the only issue I find with hospice is a lot of patients come onto service so late that they're very ill, and so it's almost too late for them to be reflecting on their life. So if we can get to the patient as soon as they come on service and they're a little healthier and can communicate better, then and then it's nicer.
Now, do you get training in that? Or?
Yes, definitely. When you volunteer with hospice, you must go through special training.
I mean, on the life reflections.
Yes, well, any hospice volunteer must go, they take standard training, and then if there's a particular area, like some people volunteer to work in the office, some people volunteer to be patient respite, where they come to a patient's home and let the main caregiver go have their hair done or whatever.
Oh, I see.
But if, like, for the life reflections, yes, we'll train whoever wants, we'll take anybody, whoever wants to help.
That
yeah.
idea.
So we teach them how to edit and do the video. So
do you teach them how to interview though? That seems to be the hard part.
Yeah,
I guess because I know how to edit. The interview part seems.
Yeah, and so they're not the videographer is not in the video at all, and often we'll try and get a family member to do the interview. So we'll give them questions to ask or prompts, because we don't want to influence it in any way. We just give them guidance. But yeah, and for the past few years I haven't had enough time to go actually do any recording, so I'm kind of a professional consult, so I'll go in and teach any new volunteers how to put lights up and things like that. So, you know, just because I want to keep my hand in it as much as possible.
You're such a good person.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's amazing. A lot of people say, oh my gosh, it must be depressing. Same with Flashes of Hope, but honestly, it's not. It's so, oh my gosh, your heart just, you know, you just feel for the poor children and families and what they go through. But the benefit, you see the gift, they really give us a gift, and you just really appreciate the good health that you have.
Yeah. And then I think, I was just telling my son that you need to volunteer because it makes you a happier person. Because you feel like you're doing something worthwhile.
That's right.
And that sounds both of those
definitely
sound very, very worthwhile.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing, you know, life, when you step out of that, you see what people go through, and you close the door and you leave it behind. Your life, your crazy things that you know, get worried about, they don't mean anything anymore when you see what so many people live with. So it makes you appreciate what you have, for sure. The sun shines a little brighter, you know, because you're living a fairly normal life. You know, and some people, we had 2 babies today. I mean, some at the Flashes of Hope, they're little twins. From the day they were born, they've been in the hospital for 6 months. They haven't left the hospital. It's awful, you know, that and it just becomes a way of life for the family. It's very hard on the family. So, but Florida Hospital does a great job. They have an awesome children's center there, and so it's real happy. Oh my gosh, I'd never seen this. We were on a ward. I don't know if we had been there before, but the windows were all covered. I took pictures with my phone because it was so beautiful. Instead of looking out, the view wasn't so awesome. It might have been the back of a building. So they put a picture of a beach and some like fish underneath. And the top half, you could see the sky through the window, so it was clear. But the rest, it was kind of see-through. So it was a beautiful view, you know, and it made it happier somehow. So.
So nice.
Anyway, that was really
all right,
cool.
now, so we'll repeat your websites. Where can people find you?
So you can find us at Catchlight Studios, so catchlight-studios.com, or orlandophotoclasses.com. That's where our Harmon School is. Okay. So,
and do you have a Facebook page or no?
We do. Both of those you can find. So our Facebook page is Harmon's with an apostrophe S, School of Photography. That's on Facebook.
Really? I didn't know you could have an apostrophe.
Well, you know, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, if you do a search under
Yeah. Maybe no apostrophe, just take off that. Sorry. I apologize. I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess it's just Harmon's with an S, Harmons, School of Photography. That's there. And so is Catchlight Studios Photography, both on Facebook like that.
Now there are other Catchlight Studios, because when I
that's
first met you, I was like,
we're
no, I can't
Orlando.
find them.
There is another Catchlight, I think, in Atlanta or something.
We had one in Orlando. I mean, in Naples.
Did
for
you?
a while.
Okay. Yeah.
He died. That was sad.
Well, Catchlight is a photographic term.
It
so
is.
yeah,
We like a Catchlight. It gives the eyes light.
Exactly. I always teach that in my intro class. Yeah. I like to think of it like I'm sitting here catching the light, right? My subject is catching the light. So
I love that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're
for being
welcome.
here. Such a great
You're
guest. I
Thank
learned
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
I hope you guys did too.
Awesome.
So don't forget to watch our free webinar called How to Get a Solid Photography Education in Just
Awesome.
4 Weeks.
I need to watch that.
You can take her class or my class. Anyway, it's a free webinar, and the link is going to be in our show notes on understandphotography.com. And if you like my teaching style, you can sign up for our class called the 4 Weeks to Proficiency in Photography. The next online class, it's a live online class, by the way, with
Wow.
homework, and you turn in your
Wow.
homework to the teacher.
There you go.
But that begins on March 21st. So all of those links are going to be on our show notes on understandphotography.com. Next week, my guest is going to be Larry Richardson, and we've got a very interesting subject, and I'm trying to remember how to word it because I forgot to write it in my notes. But he does photography. He actually works with like biologists and scientists and does photography.
Maybe it's
for
scanning.
them. No, he's out there taking. He's
Okay.
out there in the swamp.
Oh,
with
gotcha.
them.
Okay, gotcha.
So tune in here at the facebook.com/understandphotography at 4 p.m. Eastern Time next Friday to watch us live, or you can watch the recordings on YouTube or listen to us on iTunes, and of course we're still looking for those ratings on iTunes, so we really, really appreciate it. I'm Peggy Farren. Thank you so much for watching episode 23 of the Understand Photography Show with Susan Germyn-Francis.
Thank you. Bye.